nalipa tax na hata siwezi afford kupanda taxi. Kwa banki sina kakitu, siwezi afford hata shati. Maji nanywa ya kanjo yako ya chupa za mapambo. Nalipia mtoto wako elimu ya bure ya juu. Unanipa ya bure lakini ya utu. Oh no. So nitapata wapi majibu ya maswali? Mahindi lienda wapi? Pia shilingi ya shule za msingi. Paulo mtume, mbona jela usimtume? Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Mapenzi ndizo hali mabasa tulificha kwa kabati. Kazi kwa vijana, pesa kwa wazee. Tulimangamanga mpaka za maded I say. Lazima abuniwe tume. Lazima abuniwe tume. Oh. Sheria. Oh. Sheria. Sheria. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Oh, oh. Sheria. Yeah, yeah. Fuata. Sheria. 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 Oh, oh. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Pia wewe mwananchi, tabia zako ziko chini. Unapenda kulipa hongo na kutumia njia za uongo. Una mipango na hata watoto wa kando. Haujui hata majina yao. Kura yako uliuza maini figo, ukakulia hadi dini. Kisha wasema tukuthamini, na wewe hapo hauaminiki. Na wewe hapo haupangiki.
Wapi kidero when you need to slap somebody? Complain ufisadi, kwani ulidhani t-shirt 50 bob leso siku ya campaign ilikuwa free? Ni 5 year loan investment, utalipa king ya parliament. We are one, amani we are one. Na utumishi kwa wote, utu missing CCTV we were watching. Pressure insecurity na job opportunity ni kama mti ya kibiriti. Side moja heavy, usiniambie Kenya kuna umaskini, kwani hizi fat fingers zinaibia nane? Maskando ina threaten our survival. Media define leadership, na sura ukiaka front page na improve readership. Ambia wase wa Twitter wa hashtag hii ama hash reality doesn't make a good TT. Commission of inquiry wanakula commission bila kutupa ukweli. Ni kubaya baka kukiwa kuzuri, unashindwa nini mbaya? Machozi ya perpetrator ineza dilute damu ya victim ilimwagika. After all is said and done, all will be said, nothing will be done. You're not my tribe, but you're my blood type. Like making it doesn't have to take tragedy to know that.
Sheria. Oh. Sheria. Sheria. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Oh, oh. Sheria. Yeah, yeah. Fuata. Sheria. Sheria. Sheria, oh, oh, fuata. Sheria, Sheria.
Well. You know, I think it's been about a week since we had our last show because what was happening last week on Monday? That was Saba Saba. Of course, we couldn't be here for Saba Saba. We were out there. My God, how have you guys been? I miss you. And also, I know that we're also getting some new people who are not our usual listeners. I hope we can co-opt you into this thing. It's not a cult, I promise. But one thing I assure you is after you're done listening to this show, you'll become radicalized. That's the only danger there. But hey, radicalization is a good thing, isn't it? My name is WaNjeri. Welcome. This is Sheria right here on Power Radio with me. And what is Sheria Dive? Sheria Dive is a show where we talk about the law and about how the law affects your life and my life. And today we want to talk about bail and bond because I think one of the beauties of the Gen Z protests and the young people going to the streets, and you know, we call it Gen Z, but we all know the reality is that a lot of people are actually on the streets demonstrating, young, old, alike, everyone. It's not just something that is being done by a small section of the society. But one of the beauty of this protest has been a lot of people have had their eyes opened about how Kenya's criminal justice system actually works. There are many people who went to the streets last year thinking that in Kenya you can go to the streets and then you just go back home. But what's the reality? Last year, about 70 people never made it back home. This year, we are now clocking almost 60 people because even with the recent Saba Saba demonstrations, 38 people were shot dead by the police. Just imagine that. Shot dead by the police or died in police custody. I think we saw those videos of a young man being dragged on the ground by the police in Juja. That is a reality of Kenya, guys. And if you want to change this country, then we have to see this country for what it is. Perhaps we've had these ideas about what Kenya is and about democracy and about good governance and all this. But the reality is that the people who actually exercise the instruments of power, it appears they have not made that shift. The constitution to them is just a suggestion, an idea. And that's why I'm here to radicalize you. And I hope to radicalize you to open your eyes to the reality of our society because we cannot change what we do not understand. So, the government last year decided anyone who's arrested at a protest will be charged with causing disturbance, drunk and disorderly, just misdemeanors, small things. Well, this year they appear to have changed tack because now people are being charged with the offense of terrorism. That's a very serious offense. And you'll remember that before now, those charges would only be reserved for people who are recruiting Al-Shabaab and those sort of things. And one of the saddest things has been, for instance, when the protests ended, June 25th and also Saba Saba, the police would just walk into neighborhoods and as if they find you somewhere, they just pick you. And suddenly you have young people now who are in our court system, young people who are being charged with terrorism. They've never been terrorists. They've never engaged in any sort of terrorism. They haven't been doing any of those things. But suddenly, you find a young university student is being charged with terrorism. That is the reality of Kenya. What does this mean? It means that when you go with the charge of terrorism before the court, then bail has to be set. I think there's someone whose bail was set at 1 million shillings. Just imagine that. You have a country where we have young people who cannot access jobs. They cannot find jobs. They cannot even start their own businesses because of the regulatory climate. Then you tell that person 1 million shillings, which means you're essentially putting that person behind bars and you're denying them their liberty and their freedom. We have criticized the judiciary of Kenya. Kenya's judiciary is holding hands together with the government of Kenya in ensuring that young people who are engaging in protests, those young people, the judiciary is, whether it's by design or whether they are unaware of it, whether it's accidental, they are actually enabling government excesses against Kenyans. Hey, that is the opening statement. This is just to determine whether you want to continue listening or not, but I think you will. The other beautiful thing as well is we're going to have some lovely music as we get into this. So, today we talk about bail and bond. What exactly is bail? What is bond? And what are the guidelines? Why is it that in Kibera law courts, protesters are being told to give 200,000 in bail? In Thika, they're being told to give 20,000 in bail. In Kajiado, I think they were released on free bond. What exactly is happening? Why is it that there's such a huge discrepancy in how the judiciary is dealing with those who have been brought before the courts and being accused of breaking the law and violating it? This show is also happening on Thursday, and I'm just going to put out a general invitation. I would like to have a member of the bench, whether it's a magistrate or a judge, to sit here across me and just try to explain these things to us. Because one of the big problems we have in this country is a lot of educated people, you and I, we assume that people understand what these things mean, but they don't. And our laws, our judiciary, it is still stuck in the olden days, in the colonial times. We need to explain to Kenyans what discretion means. We need to be able to explain to Kenya what bail and bond means. So I'm just putting it out there. If you know how we can be able to get a judge of the High Court or a magistrate to come and talk to us about bail and bond, please reach out to us. We're going to be doing that now. Of course, as we have this conversation, perhaps you could be having some questions. You can always throw that question in the chat section of our YouTube. You're live on YouTube, but also on X. You can go to the Power Radio Live. We're also live on X, and you can put your question in by form of a reply to that post. I'm going to be looking out for those so that we can answer, okay? I have the toughest job in the world because I have to try and make these things very, very simple to understand. So help me God.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
It's so hard to leave. Sing me a song when I am gone from you. It's so hard to leave. Sing me a song when I am gone from you. I won't be gone for long. Sing me a song when I am far from you. I won't be gone for long. Sing me a song when I am far from you, far from you.
When all the lights fade and there's nowhere in the world to go, I know I would rather stay, but then again I'm unsure. Simpler times have all but faded, but I can't stay all the same. Simpler times have all but faded, but I can't stay all the same. Mama's wailing, Mama's wailing from home. Mama's wailing, don't go away 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 from me. Mama's wailing, don't go away from me. Mama's wailing, begging you to stay. The clouds gathered by the road. Nowhere in the world's the same. You're better off staying home. Simpler times have all but faded. I can't stay all the same. Simpler times have all but faded. I can't stay all the same. Simpler times have all but faded. I can't stay all the same. Simpler times have all but faded. I can't stay all the same.
It's so hard to leave. Sing me a song when I am gone from you. It's so hard to leave. Sing me a song when I am gone from you. I won't be gone for long. Sing me a song when I am far from you. I won't be gone for long. Sing me a song when I am far from you. Far from you.
That's Dala. And I think I forgot to say that at Power Radio, it's all Kenyan all the time. So all the music you're going to be hearing is music by Kenyan musicians because we are all about promoting Kenya. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's first start with simple definitions. Okay? When you talk about bail and bond, exactly what are you talking about? So let's create a scenario here. Okay? You're walking down the street or perhaps you're walking down the road, you're going home. Someone jumps out of the bushes and gives you a nice chokehold. We call it ngeta, guys. It's ngeta. It's ngeta to your neck, okay? Anyway, that person is arrested. What happens to that person? So immediately that person is arrested. They ought to be taken to the police station. And that's just an example of a crime, right? Once they're at the police station, we now begin to talk about rights of an arrested person. If you look at Article 49 of the Constitution of Kenya, it provides that every arrested person has the right to bail or bond. So before 2010, okay, in the old constitution that Kenya had, what we call the independent constitution, bail was not a right. And as a matter of fact, capital offenses were not bailable. So people who would be charged with something like murder, they would never be released on bail. But that changed in 2010. And part of the reason for that was the government would also put up trumped-up charges against critics. And then because you've been denied bail, you just go and stay inside the cells forever and ever until the day they'll decide the case ends. And of course, you remember even then, we had that problem of the judiciary being in bed with the government, all right? Where judges were actually not trying to pursue justice for the people that have come before them, but they were trying to please the government. So our 2010 constitution is built around our experiences as Kenyans, our unique experiences. Anyway, so under the 2010 constitution, an arrested person has the right to be released on bond or bail on reasonable conditions pending a charge, trial, or appeal unless there are compelling reasons not to be released. All right? And further to this, Article 49 of the Constitution states that a person shall not be remanded in custody for an offense if the offense is punishable by a fine only or by imprisonment for not more than 6 months. Now, this is key. So, when you talk about bail, exactly what is bail? What is bond? Wacha tuanzie hapo. Now, remember, when you're taken to the police station, the OCS, the officer commanding station, can release you on bail. And that release is done on the condition that when we need you to come back so that you can take you to court, you will come back. But bail can also be given by a magistrate, okay? Now, bail often is an amount. And this amount is an amount that you give to the court or to the police station, where you're basically saying that I will attend court when required. And if I fail to attend court, in addition to the court issuing warrants of arrest against me, that money that I had deposited will be forfeited to the court, which means I release that money to the court. So you have to realize that when you pay bail and you need to appear in court, then you have to make sure you've appeared. Otherwise, failure to appear will mean that money is lost. Okay? Bond. What exactly is bond? Now, for bond, if you're an accused person who's been taken now to court, you are basically binding yourself to comply with the conditions of the undertaking that you're giving to the court. Okay? And just like bail, if you're in default, then the amount of bail or other sum fixed in the bond, you have to forfeit it. But bond also allows you, for instance, if the court says we'll give you 200,000, it's under bond that you're able to come to court and say, I own a Bajaj, niko na motorbike, Nduthi, and the value of this bike is the same as the value of the amount that the court requires me to pay as bail. So then the court is able to hold on to that document, that original title, whether it's land, whether it's the logbook, all that, before releasing you. Why is this important? You have to realize when you commit a crime, when you commit a criminal offense, you have to be taken through the justice system. But one of the big problems is, if we bring you to court, how sure are we that you're going to come back so that we continue with your hearing? Because many people, what will they do? They'll take off, they'll disappear. So we have to find a way to ensure that you always come. And how do we do that? You have to give us something that is of value to you, which you know that if you fail to come and you lose that thing, it's not something you're willing to lose. Hadi hapo tuko sawa? Now, when it comes to questions of bail in court, sometimes a court will ask for something we call a bail report. And a bail report basically is what we call a social inquiry, where we need information that is generated about the background and the community ties of an accused person. Where do you live? Okay, who do you live with? What's your house number? Are you working? Who do you work for? Where is your employer? Are you a student? Where are you a student? How many classes do you go for? All that. Why? Because we're trying to assess the likelihood that you will appear for trial as an accused person. So it is always important that the court gets a bail report. I was in court today, and let me tell you, that does not usually happen. Courts are rarely asking for bail reports, especially when someone has just been brought in and it's a question of taking plea. You know, the case imeanza tu saa hiyo. So, something happened and has been happening. You'll find that for the same offense, magistrates and judges will give varying amounts of the bail and the bond. Why does this happen? Why does this happen? It's because of a thing called discretion. Now, in 2015, the Judiciary produced what we call the bail and bond policy guidelines. And these are anchored on Article 49 of the Constitution. Now, remember as well that we have a law in Kenya called the Criminal Procedure Code. And this Criminal Procedure Code, which you also call the CPC, it empowers an officer in charge of a police station, the OCS, or a court to admit a person accused of an offense to bail, or you release them on executing a bond. And a bond is done with sureties. Okay? Nani anakusimamia together with that bond that you're putting. Is where you'll find someone's father is saying, yes, I'll make sure this gentleman or this lady comes to court when needed. Okay. But there is also something we call a free bond, and a free bond basically is you're told go. When we'll call you, you'll come. And this will happen especially in areas where we know where you live, we know where your family lives. You're not a flight risk. You're not disappearing from here. There's nowhere you're going. And so a free bond is given. And when you're given a free bond, you're not required to provide any assets or to provide any money to the court. Sawa? There is something that I need you to note about bail and bond in Kenya, because the CPC provides that the amount of bail shall be fixed with due regard to the circumstances of the case and shall not be excessive. And that is a very important point to make now, because when a judge or a magistrate is sitting there in their chair and they have to decide how much bail they'll give you, two considerations they must look at is, number one, what are the circumstances of the case? And number two, the bail should not be excessive. This is important because cases vary from one to the next, isn't it? You have different cases. As well, you do not want your rapist to be walking out here, right? To go and commit that crime against other people. That's why the circumstances matter, right? You do not want a society where a murderer is taken to the police, taken to court, and then just released. You want the court to consider. And sometimes the court will actually even call the victim or the victim's family to understand what are the circumstances of this case. There are instances where the court will actually deny someone bail for their own security because of the offense you've committed. Sometimes you'll find, especially people who defile children, where the community is saying, if you come back here, we are going to kill you. And so the court says, for the safety of this person, I would rather hold them within the prison or within the remand until their case is heard or determined, or until the circumstances change. Okay? We're talking about bail and bond. When we come back, we're looking at these policy guidelines. Are they being followed as they should be? Keep it right here.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Our radio.
Rosa giving us only bringing us to about 5:34 p.m. We're talking about bail and bond policy guidelines that have been developed by the judiciary. Now, ladies and gentlemen, perhaps you'll ask yourself, why would the court charge someone with terrorism? This is because when you look at the act known as the Prevention of Terrorism Act 2012, it provides that the rights of an arrested person specified under Article 49 of the Constitution may be limited in order to ensure the protection of the suspect or any witness, to ensure that the suspect avails himself for examination or trial or does not interfere with the investigations, to prevent the commission of an offense under the act, or to ensure the preservation of national security. I need us to understand what's happening here. You know, when the Prevention of Terrorism Act was being prepared, we did not think it was being prepared for us. Because you remember at the time, Kenya used to have a lot of Al-Shabaab attacks and grenades and all this. And it was always the assumption, because Kenyans generally, we ourselves, we are not terrorists. Like you won't find a Kenyan with a grenade. 99% of Kenyans don't even know what a grenade looks like, apart from what they saw Rambo do, or in a movie, or the Terminator. So it was always felt like terrorism is coming from outside. And so if you're having someone, let's say from Mogadishu, who's come here and they've carried out a terrorist attack, if you give that person bail, they go back to Mogadishu. We'll never find them. We'll never catch them again, right? And so the act limits. It sets a limit and says sometimes the court can actually say, you've been charged under the Prevention of Terrorism Act, so we are not going to let you go. We're not going to release you. Okay? Because, number one, we need to protect witnesses, right? We need to ensure that you present yourself for examination or trial. We need to ensure you do not interfere with investigations, okay? We need to ensure that we're not releasing you for you then to go out and conduct another terrorist attack. But also, we need to hold you to preserve national security, okay? So that act provides that sort of exception, or rather it expands room for the court to hold back and say, no, we're not going to release this person. So if you look at the guidelines say, in the face of increasing and deadly terror attacks and new crimes such as drug trafficking and piracy, the government and the public have expressed concern that persons accused of committing such serious crimes are absconding after being granted bail, thereby undermining the administration of criminal justice. All right? So if you ask many Kenyans, they'll tell you, this thing was not for us. We're doing it because we understood that we had people coming from outside who are coming to commit terror attacks in Kenya. So the question then becomes, what do we do? How do we resolve these questions of bail and bond? Because unfortunately, in Kenya, we do not have guidelines that will say, if you've been charged with drunk and disorderly, your bail should be between this amount and this other amount. We have this thing we call discretion, right? It's something we've inherited from the British, where no one should tell the magistrate or the judge what to do. They should just decide it by themselves. But if you look at other countries, I think, for instance, like the US, you'll find that the judicial officer knows that I have this room to maneuver in. Because, for instance, why should a person who has stolen a chicken be given the same bail, right, as someone who has murdered an individual, right? When you're talking about this on X, I saw someone say that in Nigeria, there's a guy, I think he must be a politician, and he beats up someone and injures them really, really badly. Then he's told to pay 50,000 naira. Then there are 150 young people who had been arrested at a protest in Nigeria, and they were told to pay 1 million naira. Look at that disparity. Look at that great, great disparity. So, what are the principles that should guide a court or a judge or a magistrate in decision-making when dealing with the questions of bail and bond? Number one is the right of the accused person to be presumed innocent. Because Article 50 of the Constitution of Kenya is very clear. Every person shall be presumed innocent until proven guilty. You cannot give someone bail and bond like you've already decided, they must be very guilty. And I see this sometimes even happening with our politicians, because you'll hear someone has been arrested on grounds of possible graft, 5 million bail. I'm like, I think you've already made up your mind about this person's guilt. Every person is innocent until proven guilty. Number 2 principle is that an accused person has the right to liberty. So as a general rule, every accused person should not be detained, but should be released, subject to their guarantee to appear for trial. Therefore, what we call pretrial detention, it should be a measure of last resort. And courts are actually told, try and avoid pretrial detention. Number 3 principle is that you must be guided by the accused person's obligation to attend trial. Okay? How can we ensure that this person will come to trial? And then, number 4 principle is that every person has a right to reasonable bail and bond terms. Okay? Why are they reasonable? It is because of the importance of the right to liberty and the presumption of innocence. This means you cannot issue bail or bond amounts and conditions that are more than necessary to guarantee the appearance of an accused person for trial. And this thing has really broken my heart, because when you look at some of these young protesters, and some people who did not even protest, 300,000. This is someone who went to school, they've never gotten a job, they are still living at home, they're trying their hustle. 300,000. I think sometimes we forget how much money that is in a country where people can actually go to bed hungry. Number 5 principle is that when you are making a decision on bail, you must balance the rights of an accused person and the interest of justice. This is important because while we are presuming you to be innocent and that you should be allowed to keep your life intact and your liberty intact, okay? We want you on the one hand to play an active part in planning your defense, in coming to court and all this. But on the other hand, the state has a duty to prosecute those who commit crimes, which is true. And it may entail determining that your right to liberty can be curtailed, or it can be, we can put some safeguards around it. Because imagine if you're in a country where you just go to court and you are all released. You rape someone, you go to court, you're released. You kill someone, you're released. We are that country, by the way. It just depends on how much money you have. Okay, guys, open your eyes. We have to fix this country. We have to fix this country. And the reality is, bail and bond disproportionately punishes the poor as compared to the rich. Okay? So anyway, where there is convincing evidence that the accused person can undermine the integrity of the criminal justice system, for example, intimidating witnesses. And this is one of the things we saw with Talam, the case for Albert Ojwang, where the court is saying, you're a police officer. You're an OCS, for heaven's sake. You can actually go to Central and say, I want the investigating officer to tell me who are the witnesses in this case against me. And you can disappear them. It's not unknown or unheard of for police to kill witnesses. You remember Willie Kimani? So the court has to play that balancing act. If there is convincing evidence that you will endanger a particular individual, whether it's a victim of the crime, or you'll endanger the public, or you'll go ahead to commit a serious crime, then you should be detained. Okay? But the Constitution is very clear. As an accused person, you can only be denied bail or bond where the court has established that there are compelling reasons not to be released. Number 6 principle is that the court has to consider the rights of the victims. Okay? What is the safety of the victims? What is the safety of the victims' families? Okay? Do the victims know about the bail conditions that have been imposed on suspects? Then, victims sometimes will request that they want to be informed about bail applications that have been made, that should be allowed. You have to consider that, because remember, anytime there's a crime, then there's also a victim. And the victim is also coming to seek justice. It's not that we only look at the one side to say, oh, everyone is innocent, but also we have to look at the other side. What about the victim? So when you go to the police station, if you're ever arrested, you have to tell them I have a right to bail. Hiyo maneno ya kulalishwa huko police station a whole weekend, unalalishwa sijui overnight, umelala na kiatu moja, umetolewa belt. That's not a must. And part of the reason why those things happen is because also of extortion. Because a lot of our police have decided that whatever the government is not paying them, they're going to get it from you, the mwananchi. So cash bill must be reasonable. If the police know where you live, if they know your family, especially if you are from the neighborhood, where are they keeping you there? And you'll have to remember that one of the problems we have had in this country has been that we always say that our prisons are overcrowded. Why are our prisons overcrowded? They're overcrowded because you have a lot of people there who, had you applied the proper bail and bond guidelines, then those people will not be there. So kuna watu wengi sana wanapewa ugali huko, and have you seen what they serve in prison? But they are being fed with your taxes, and they should be out here. They work. But because of a broken system, we find ourselves where we are. So how do you apply for bail? At the police station, you just inform the OCS or you inform the officer there, I would like to get bail. And in the police station, especially if you are known, your neighborhood is known, your work is known, if you can give those details, free bond. Always start by asking for a free bond. Okay? In the magistrate's courts, when you go into the court and the charges are read to you and you say not guilty, it is at that point that then you apply for bail. Okay? Ideally, the magistrate should first find out who are you, unaishi wapi, unafanya kazi wapi, all those before they make a decision about what bond should be given. I was in court today, and I think some gentlemen were brought in, the charges were read, they said not guilty, and then they were told 200,000 bail. As in, they were not even asked any questions. Nothing. And I just looked and I wondered, okay, the offense is there, but what was the reasoning? What made the magistrate make this decision? What usually runs in the minds of the courts? Number one, the court will look at the nature of the charge of the offense, and they'll look at the seriousness of the punishment that will be issued if the accused person is actually found guilty. So, the more serious the offense, okay, then the court will be like, then the more likelihood that this person is going to abscond and they are going to run away, okay? Number two, the court also has to look at the strength of the prosecution case. Even if you have a serious charge and the evidence is weak, and the court can tell that even from looking at the file, the court should not ask that you're still held there, right? The other thing as well is the court has to look at what's the character of this person. What are some of the things you've done before? Umeletwa hapo, you have arrest warrants from other courts. Hey, the court should look at that when determining whether to give you bail or bond. Then, the failure of an accused person to observe bail or bond terms on previous occasions is also a good ground for denying bail or bond. What's the likelihood of interfering with witnesses? That's relevant. Okay? Do we need to protect the victim or victims of the crime? You can imagine a situation where a father has defiled his daughter. Should that father be given bail to go back to that same house with those children? So the court has to look at how do we protect these victims? Okay? Then, what is the relationship between the accused person and the potential witnesses? Child offenders? What if you're a flight risk? You're a guy from Poland, you've been in Kenya, you got a girlfriend, you went for a rugby, you got a girlfriend, kidogo kidogo, the girl is dead in a Kilimani apartment. Should we give you bail and you can just easily jump on a plane and go to Poland and we'll never see you again? The court has to consider that. Are you employed? Do we know where you're employed? Okay. The court also has to look at the question of public order, peace, or security. Is releasing you going to cause public disorder? And finally, as I had said earlier, the court also has to look at, is it proper that for your own protection, we actually keep you here? Whew, look at the time. When we come back, we're going to look at some of the challenges that the courts are facing when they're making decisions on matters of bail. But I still making this announcement out here, and I'm saying, if you know any way we can get a judge or a magistrate to come and sit here in this chair and talk to us about some of the things that happen in court and why they make the decisions as they do, please let me know. We'd just love to hear that other side of the story. You know, we are on this other side, so it'll be good to hear that side. And if you're out there and you've been a victim of this, bond was issued or you're denied bail, I'm looking for stories of people who've gone through the criminal justice system, ukapelekwa Inda, ukapelekwa Kamiti, or anywhere, and eventually maybe you are released, you are found not guilty. I'd like to hear your story and how you found that criminal justice system. This, for the next, I think, about 2 weeks, I'd like to focus on stories of how you are interacting with Kenya's justice system. So if you're out there, hey, I'm happy to hear your story and to tell your story to the world. You'll be sitting here in this chair. Story ni yako ni wewe utatuambia. So I'm watching out for that. Please reach out to us on @PowerRadio. We're going to be looking out for that and to just go ahead and receive that story. But for now, let's get some music, and when we come back, we talk about some of the challenges that judges and magistrates are saying they're facing, even as we continue with our discussion on bail and bond. Let's go.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
When the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. When the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. Na baraka zina shuka. Baraka zina
Itisha pata 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 pata. Itisha pata 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 pata. Itisha pata 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 pata. Itisha pata 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 pata.
blessing me faster, wako hakuna matata. Blessing me faster, wako hakuna matata. Huku na huku na huku na huku, wako hakuna matata. Huku na huku na huku na huku, wako hakuna matata. When the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. When the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. Na baraka zina shuka. Baraka zina
Niko fresh and clean. Niko fresh and clean. Niko na more flavor, more flavor, more cheddar.
Marriage works manze come through.
Na watoi warembo so true.
Sina madeni mfuko imejaa.
Tuna live dream tuliota.
Amenipa mengi mengi. Amefanya mengi mengi. Murembo wangu minji minji. Murembo wangu minji minji. Nasema amenipa mengi mengi. Amefanya mengi mengi. Murembo wangu minji minji. Murembo wangu minji minji.
when the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. When the praises go up, baraka zina shuka. Praise go up, baraka zina shuka. Na baraka zina
akani bless your city yendo mzimba zenga na ngam unazoza hapa deva wezi bonga
mimi na mimi na mimi na mimi naye baraka zako mimi na mimi na mimi na mimi naye baraka zako na mimi na mimi na mimi na mimi naye baraka zako mimi na mimi na mimi na mimi naye baraka zako blessing me faster kwako hakuna matata blessing me faster kwako hakuna matata huku na huku na huku na huku kwako hakuna matata nasema huku na huku na huku na huku kwako hakuna matata when the praises go up baraka zinashuka praise go up baraka zinashuka when the praises go up baraka zinashuka praise go up baraka zinashuka na baraka zinashuka baraka zinashuka
Baraka zinashuka na manze tunaomba pia bail ishuke juu bail iko juu sana. Tribe Kenya at Mkenya Halisi says this is correct. The judiciary is complicit and working with the executive to suppress the clamor for change. Ladies and gentlemen, as we think about why young people are now being charged with terrorism, it's because, okay, the Prevention of Terrorism Act 2012 provides that a police officer who has detained a suspect may apply in writing to the court to extend the time for holding the suspect in custody for a period of up to 30 days. Okay? Before that period expires, the police officer may again apply to the court to extend the period of detention. This is one of the few laws in Kenya that allows someone to be detained before the trial actually properly starts. And I think that's why the government is very keen on using this as the preferred charge, okay? Because then we can hold you for longer, and there's a psychological effect of that as well. But we cannot run away from the reality that bail amounts are often unreasonable or unaffordable for majority of accused persons. In their own report, the judiciary says it is not clear how courts determine the amounts of bail. For example, whether they consider any factors, and what those factors are. Among other things, this lack of clarity makes it difficult for advocates to advise clients on how much money they should prepare for cash bail. I've had those instances where someone is saying, okay, so how much should I have for cash bail? I'm like, whoa, my brother. I don't even know. I can't tell you exactly how much because we don't know what the court is going to say. So because of the disparities in that exercise of the discretion by judicial officers, it has led to bail amounts being imposed that are unreasonably high or unreasonably low in comparison to the offense committed. The bail and bond policy, for instance, says that it is not unusual that a person accused of obtaining 8,000 will be required to pay a cash bail of 50,000. Just think about it. You're being accused of stealing 8,000 shillings, okay? And then only pay 50,000. In addition, where two or more persons are accused of the same offense, the courts tend to set uniform bail terms for all of them without distinguishing their circumstances. This is very, very unfortunate. Like today in court, 3 boys were brought in and they were all given 200K. After you don't even know. Hey. And it's the same offense they're accused of committing. So there's a problem because there's no uniformity in how our courts are approaching the question of bail. Okay? So, how do we enhance uniformity in bail decision making? Okay? Some courts have actually tried to standardize their approaches. Okay? It's to say, for this type of offenses, we're going to look at a bail amount between, X and Y. We're going to say, for traffic offenses, we're going to deal with them this way. All right? This unpredictability is something that I hope we can deal with. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry if you thought you were going to deal with bail and bond for just one day. I've told you, in ndio kazi yetu for the next 2 weeks. We must talk about this bail and bond issue and address it properly. There are a lot of young people today. I think I saw some young people had been arrested in Gilgil. and they've been brought due to courts where bail's due 1 million. I'm like, what's happening? So we continue this conversation. I hope we can get a magistrate or a judge to come and sit here just to give us their perspective, so that we can look at things differently, from their side. But also is to say that this show also happens on Thursday between 5 and 7 p.m. So this Thursday, make sure you join me right here on Power Radio, 5 to 7, because unfortunately, our show is only 5 to 6 p.m. on Mondays, and it's now 5:59. And I have to say goodbye. But we've started by laying the groundwork. We need to be able to lay the groundwork so that now we can get into the deeper issue. Now that we are getting an understanding of how things work and where the gaps are, what are some of the solutions? Please let me know. I'm going to be looking out for your thoughts. I'm going to be looking out for your comments online. Reach out to us at Power Radio, at James K. WaNjeri. We're going to be looking out for that. But also is to say just a big appreciation for all the communities that are rallying around their members who've been arrested, and also all the lawyers who are providing a lot of their services on pro bono basis to get people out. I'm just reminded of WaNjeri, who was in Limuru today and managed to secure the release of some minors who are being charged together with adults for events touching on Sabasaba. Ladies and gentlemen, have a great rest of the evening. See you on Thursday. God bless you.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
rocking on the midnight train. Oh Lord, steady rocking on the midnight train. To Zion, to Zion.
From sunrise to